Lots of ancient learnings reference two different methods of movement and or subjects beside each other, right? You gotta walk before you can run. You gotta dribble before you can shoot. Sometimes you gotta holla holla if you want balla back on the podcast. What is up, guys? Episode 27.
That was good. I was not expecting that. I was expecting some bullshit, but you turned it to me, and I love being the center of attention. So fuck yes, I like it.
Let's go. The baby's in the center of attention, right, for your life for the past few weeks. So.
Holy crap, yes, for real. She has been requiring everything pretty much. It's actually not. She's not requiring much. She just needs milk. She needs being swaddled. Like being nice and tight, and she needs sleep, and she needs her diaper changed. That's about it. Ooh. Oh, and to be burped.
That's a little bit too much. Then 5 things, and you gotta repeat them
four
like
things,
4 times
you
a day.
Repeat it over and over and over and over because she wakes up every 2 hours. So,
real life Tamagotchi. It's kind of cool, actually.
That actually is legit what it is. It's a real life Tamagotchi. But if you fuck up. It's not good.
There's no replacement batteries. It's a little bit more complicated than all that. Levin can't be here today. He's busy with prior engagements, so he will be here next episode, most hopefully, and we'll have the trio queue down at it again. But for now, we got these 2 big boxes.
Say happy birthday to Levin, too, because it's his birthday.
Levin's birthday. Happy birthday, Levin. Let's go. Yeah, 100. He's turning 46. That's huge. If you guys didn't know, the reason Levin's voice is so deep is that his vocal cords time traveled to the future, but his face and body stayed the same. And they have a separate birthday, which is today. So happy birthday in the comments for 11-2K's voice. There we go. Past all that, week 2 obviously happened. No episode there. Scheduling issues. Week 3 also happened, and now we're almost in semifinals. But before we jump into all of that, I always, sat down at my chair. I think we all do Balla, and we look at our screens trying to watch the game. There's many different ways to watch this game entirely. Our quote-unquote pioneer himself has gotten his take into how things work when we're watching down the Fortnite game, whether it's a viewing party, whether it's the FNCS. I focus on viewing parties right now. Eman has spoken before. He's created the trend of viewing parties by streaming 21 hours a day, every weekend with 3 hours of sleep a night. Sometimes, Balla, he's watching these viewing parties. Sometimes he's playing and then watching afterwards. After me, you, everyone in the world has ripped off Emad GG's formula, made a career out of it, and never given him credit.
This tweet is funny, yes. Okay, this tweet is very funny. Mad props to Emad. This tweet is a little weird, but mad props to him because legit, some of the stuff that he says is absolutely true. Like, he is the guy who didn't necessarily pioneer it, right? But he is the guy that made it really, really, really popular. I mean, Chap, Symphony, like everybody was doing viewing parties. I did viewing parties back in the day of like customs and stuff. But they weren't like mainstream. It wasn't like a million different people. It was literally just one streamer doing it and everybody was like hopping in the call and whatnot. It was a fun community thing. And Emad really, really made it a career. And a lot of people also saw his success and made it a career too. I think the funny part about this tweet to me, though, is that it actually speaks truth. When he says 300 streamers copy exactly what he does. And this is why I wanted to show this tweet, is because that is true. People are literally copying what he has done and have not innovated at all. Okay, so that's where this topic is viewing parties are the exact same. No matter where you go, there is a little bit of entertainment value, right? And that is where you get the tiers of viewing parties. But in terms of like the viewing experience, they're exactly the same.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I understand then, right? Like looking at it from that perspective, why it's like a bite to his brand, because for him, making it casual, making it just a cool TV channel to tune into to watch was his spin on the viewing party. Because for yours before, it was, hardcore analysis. For a lot of analysts and casters out there, it was like, we dive in, we see exactly what can be worked on, what the trios are doing, have like observer type coverage and go in, right? It's not like a drop in, drop out casual thing. Even for Chap and Symphony, for them, it was like following certain teams, following their friends overall, right? Like it wasn't always just about doing it the same way Emad did.
Well,
everyone had
for them, it was they didn't make it to the tournament, so they're just watching the broadcast.
Yeah. But for him to sit down, sacrifice tournaments as well, because obviously he could still play in them, but this was like a, you know, done decision. And it also could be, you know, the wave of like, hey, he might be falling off, so this is a good career path to take. But regardless of all that, making it like as not casual as possible, but essentially, you know, as approachable as possible and fun to watch overall. That is his thing. And I feel like a lot of other people, like I would agree, try to do it exactly that way and not push it forward, like you said. Like some examples that are different of people that put their own spin on it is like Ronaldo's watch parties that were always akin to like Tyler One Energy, that had like a production to when it came to it. Yeah, those were lit. But then even him, kind of, you know, they just go back to, we pull up as many perspectives as possible, listen to chat as to where to go, and then do what we got to do. I feel like Aussie's is a little bit different, where he tries to do the observer type thing and follow narratives as well. But at the same time, like on the level that he's at and at the level that all these guys could be at to evolve things, it's not that different from day one HEMAD. It's literally just pull up the perspectives, chill there. And sometimes like you're not zoned into an event of your stream that, hey, we're viewing partying today, it's gonna be sick. It's, I'm talking to chat, I'm watching some games. Sometimes it is what it is.
Yeah, I feel like it's devalued the just watching like the weekend of FNCS pretty significantly. Like I try to tune in live, right? And there's the broadcast option, which I don't necessarily enjoy the most because it's not necessarily following the things that I'm super interested in following most of the time. And then there's the viewing party option, and I go to the page, the main Fortnite page, and there's like Amar who's speaking German. I would love to watch Amar's viewing parties because he does go the extra mile with like replays and production and stuff like that. It feels like an actual broadcast, and tools and stuff. But after that, it's just a bunch of people being clowns. And that's not what I'm interested in watching. And I think that there's a large percentage of people who are interested in watching like a serious, not serious, doesn't have to be serious, entertaining, sure, but is also the place to watch the tournament and be at that event rather than I'm watching X viewing party because it's the stream I like to watch, you know?
Yeah, like you want to be watching a stage, not sitting in the crowd with said person watching the event itself. That's kind of the way I structure it in my mind. And like structure is kind of the word, something with some type of structure or like goal and presentation in mind. I feel like should be the wave, because like, you know, that's what I feel like a bunch of things are. It's like, you know the conversations you get to have while you're watching, like, you know, if you're at World Cup in the green room, or if you're watching like an event in the audience, or even a movie, if the theater's like cleared out, like you're talking with your friends, you're having the one-off liners or yo, did you see that type beat stuff. Like that is what kind of plagues, I feel like, viewing parties so much. Whereas if there was like, you know, the presence of a desk, or like, you know, you were kind of zoned in and there to do something for that week. And then maybe at certain points, right, fizzle in that audience type section, like maybe in between games or whatever. I feel like that could be a wave, but either way, like,
it feels like it's missing. Like, okay, when I think of viewing parties in other games, or like, you know, LEC, or not LEC because they don't let them, but LCS viewing parties with like I Will Dominate, or LS, like Lost Shadow, it definitely feels like there's a broadcast that they're watching and I could be watching too, that is the flow of the story, is the show, is all of that, right? That is already there, and I'm watching with LS, right? I'm at the bar with my friends watching the thing, and I'm not necessarily super tuned into the thing, which is the broadcast, but I can if I want to, and I can have these discussions with the people I'm watching with, right? That's what that experience is like to me. Whereas in Fortnite, it is dependent on streams, and that really, really sucks, because depends on who you're gonna get, right? When it comes to the finals, maybe you only have the people who are griefing each other, which is really, really, really boring to watch. And that has happened multiple times. I've tuned in, especially when it comes to heats, which, you know, it's a good thing we're having this conversation leading into heats, because heats, last time around, I tried my hardest to watch some of the heats that weren't broadcast, right? And it was impossible because they had 3 streams and there were people griefing each other, and the viewing parties would not make an effort to go and watch more. So there was legit no place to watch the heats that weren't broadcasted, other than myself going into replay mode and watching it out. And that is so much effort. Like maybe I would do that if I was really, really invested. Like there was the clicks versus Tahi at Sweaty Sands or something like that. Maybe I was really invested in that, and I would have watched that if it wasn't on broadcast. But the average person ain't gonna do that. So it leaves a hole. It leaves a massive hole. There is a big ass hole, especially when it comes to heats of how to watch the actual games in a cohesive way.
Yeah, I think especially for heats, like 100%, because once again, I feel like this issue should have been sorted out start of the year or at some point within this first season of FNCS's. When I say season, I mean like circuit or year, like 4. Like by now, we should be experimenting with things to be able to watch every game that's being played after qualifiers, right? Like I don't mind missing certain engagements or stories and quals because we have to focus on the big ones and the top 3 is what it is. But then like to have to skip out on half the teams after that or 2/3 of the teams after that because we can only watch one heat, right? Like that is where like it's an issue. Like, and we have so many days to roll with it, right? We could have a broadcast on Monday. I know that the numbers will be hit like a Thursday before because obviously you can't kind of bleed over the weekend.
You think the numbers will be hit, but that's not necessarily true because we've never had a broadcast on Mondays, and who knows? It's still summertime. Well, people are going back to school now, but yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily think that's a true fact always.
Yeah,
without being
but like the goal tried. Has to be to watch all these games because we missed the Sands. I'm pretty sure last season we watched a different heat because like you know in the back end like the conversations that we were having when we were choosing what to watch is like all there is here is this Sands beef, which is true for like the majority of people who want to come watch, but like there's a bunch of other teams there too, and it happens every season. But it's also like we're missing the Sands beef. That's a big thing. We're missing like the Sands beef is happening in the other heat somewhere as well. We don't know it yet, but it might develop over the day, and we don't get to tune in to try to tell that story. You know what I mean? So like, that's the unfortunate part. And I feel like we have one more season to try to fix that. Maybe even if I always say there's always a way for the community to do it.
That's what
I'm not sure how.
Well, no, like, it is. We ran a broadcast show. What do you mean? You're not sure how?
There's a definite way how. Like, dude, if these watch party guys like came together, not even to just form a watch party union, but to just structure something. Like in the day, like, you guys cover Heat 1, I'll do Heat 2 while they're overlapped, right? We'll get another guy in EU to do Heat 3, put it all under the same brand, collaborate it, and we can all use each other's content for our YouTube videos. Y'all making money, and I'm making sense of the games. Like we're chilling. Like we're actually chilling. But like what it's gonna be
script I could follow. It's fucking cool.
It's gonna be Aussie waking up at like 3:37 a.m. to watch his games. Man's groggy as hell, so there's no structure there. E-Mad's hopping in the rusty old train to watch his viewing party. Ronaldo's like last minute teammate didn't wake up, so now he's gonna watch party at 2. There's no chance, you know what I mean? Like for the structure, like that's the issue. I feel like so because everyone's just kind of doing their own thing. I feel like there's respect there too, but even with streamers, you know what I mean? It's like I feel like no one even talks to each other that much.
It's capitalism.
Everyone jumps on the grind and then
just fucking capitalism. Jeff Bezos at it again. Ruining our Fortnite viewing experience. We need socialism in our Fortnite viewing experience.
He's ruining the servers. He's ruining the experience, man. Who's gonna stop Bezos?
And our only hope is Elon Musk buying Fortnite and deleting it. Remember that shit was so good.
That's an old story.
That is an old meme. Like you're right though. It would be really cool if they had grouped up or like just collaborated a little bit. Actually, I would love to see way more collab in general in viewing parties because every time it's just the one dude. It's like, okay. By the way, I tweeted about this topic last season. I think during heats, and people thought I was subtweeting like specific streamers. No, I was literally talking about like the genre in general because I was struggling my ass off, and I ended up settling on Stretch. And because I was in that chat, Stretch fucking went at me on Twitter. It was so funny because I was watching his viewing party, and I tweeted about viewing parties being ass. So he thought it was about him. But nah, it wasn't. Like all the players who do viewing parties is fine. Like, well, I'm not expecting those motherfuckers to do anything. Like I'm expecting the career viewing partiers to step their game up because it sucks right now. And yes, there's probably people who have their favorites. I have my favorites too, and that's generally how I keep up if I want to watch something live. Um, but because I can go back and watch the broadcast on 2x later, and that's much more fun for me. So when I'm trying to keep up live and keep on the pulse of the community and whatnot, that is, I have my favorites. And everybody will have their favorites, and they're gonna be like, "This is great! Like Aussie Antic Stream is great!" And yeah, like that's cool. But at the end of the day, it's not a cohesive experience. It is not a good viewing experience. Like anybody's viewing party right now, except for like, I think the rare case is literally Amar, and like just the other language streamers. I think like Suha in Spanish, in Spain, I think does a good job. But once again, like I speak Spanish only a little bit. Like I passively can speak, but when he is doing his shit, then I can't really understand. And obviously Amar I can't understand. Gaming Kuno in Denmark, he follows all the Danish players, and like those focused ones are really cool too, because they're deep dove, and that's always something that I've wanted to see more experimentation with, is them following specific, like what is the deal, or like specific people, because it's already hard enough to follow, you know, the 33 everyone. Yeah, so like it's cool that there's people who are invested in like the fandom of certain teams. That's really cool.
Yeah, I feel like all these guys could also like, I feel like there's an opportunity for Duolingo to jump in the Twitch scene, man. Like they could actually pop off. Like bro, 1 month of just like these, you know, on that app watching Amar, I'm fluent in German. Move on to Suha, move on to Gaming Kuno, Mr. International, baby, Dale. You know what I'm saying? Like it's in the business, but past that too, I feel like the reason it's just never going to happen is one of the best things about having this as a career, like viewing partying, is like for your life, the drop in, drop out aspect of it, or the flexibility aspect of it, right? Like, yo, chat is wanting to move one way, I can please them, and maybe amass even more viewers after the fact, and be that pleasing streamer, you know what I mean? That is interactive and whatnot. Because if people are structured for one of the weekends where, you know, viewership's supposed to increase, i.e. heats, and they don't have that red zone type of flexibility and movement, the viewership is not going to be as high. I feel like just thinking about it, right? Like if I'm in Aussie stream and someone's in here like, yo, you know, there's the I don't know, the Dirty Docs beef is happening in Heat 1, why are you watching Heat 3? Oh, you know, because like we structured it this way. If you want to watch this, where I could easily just click 2 buttons and go to Emad's stream and give him the money that, you know, I could be getting right now. Because
that's what I was talking about with the capitalism.
Yeah.
I was being tongue-in-cheek,
but yeah, it's rough because it required a little bit of sacrifice from everyone to make everything better.
Yeah, and that's just not going to happen. That is literally, like, that suggestion, while sounds great, it's literally never going to happen. The only thing is if friends would, like, I don't know, if they did like what we did, which is completely different, and like I don't know. But yeah, I mean, people are going to want to watch the best Heat no matter what, right? Like, because otherwise the viewers are going to be like, what the fuck? Well, there's the opportunity to be like, well, let me at least. Here's the thing. The viewership is so diluted because, like Emad said, it is 300 fucking viewing parties going on at the same time. Like, it is not a lie when he says something like that. It is so many viewing parties, and half of them are less than 200 viewers, you know, but there are also like 20 with over 1,000. And the viewership is so diluted that it is impossible, like, to go on the Fortnite like directory and be like, wow, this tournament's popping. Like, look at Graf G's viewership, because even Graf G now isn't getting like crazy amounts of viewerships when he does his viewing parties for the finals and stuff, because there's so many people doing it. So I think the value of like incentivizing viewing parties too has gone way out the window. Where, like, for example, in Valorant, it's like getting Shroud to do it because that brings new viewers, or getting Pokemon to do it because it brings new viewers. That's gone because all the viewers are either already there or they're so uninterested because the product is bad in the first place. I don't know. It makes it really, really hard to see a future where there's any change at all. I don't have any solutions, man. I really don't.
I mean, I feel like
somebody popping off.
At some point, like, land drops through, and then like the structure for everything can be different, or at least everyone is on that vibe of, you know, the LS I will dominate type beat, where it's okay that there's so many, you know, things that are diluted. Like, people will automatically now, since, you know, there is a stage to watch, go to the most insightful things.
Yes.
It's not just going to be ease of access anymore and appeasement. You know, it's just it's going to be who actually has the takes, like stuff like Chap or people who are rolling in that might have knowledge or might be a hub. Like I feel like Aussie would pop even more in that realm. But like the 300 might go down to 100 or 50 once people realize that no one's in their streams anymore, or it's kind of difficult to commentate on something where it's not just going to be the distraction of you switching POVs as much, or being able to just say a word about your friends. You're gonna have to be forced to watch people you don't know about, or miss a fight here or there, right? So I feel like then it'll get a bit more serious. Then once again, that's like 2020, like 3 or something. I don't even know. So, yeah.
Sheesh. 2023.
Hopefully it's 2022, but I'm really always just pessimistic, so I can be optimistic. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. Anyways. So hopefully, but yeah, that's the one thing to start things off, because we all watch things in the realm of our eyes, and our eyes are usually on viewing parties.
We watch things. You watch things. I watch things. Yeah. So cool.
We learn things too, and learning comes after facts are dropped, etched in time, and then looked at afterwards. And what did get etched in time are results, leaderboards, bada bing, bada boom, when I step in the room. And it's week 3 that happened with EU. And this was honestly, I still feel like Qual 1 was my favorite weekend to watch. Yeah. But this was like my most nostalgic. Like this is where,
nostalgic.
because of first place and Lex, Forza RX Squeeze, not like a trio you usually would watch in previous seasons, but the way they played, it was like, in the movie when like they need that substitute, and then like the fucking old guy comes in and he's doing his old moves or whatever. I don't know what movie I watched, but like, fuck. It's like, I don't know how to analogize this, but like, they had this one game. It was game 2, and they rolled in, and like, I've been watching Qual 2. I watched the first game of Qual 3. It's like people choking here or there. It's like, a bunch of, it's not even new up and comers, but it seems like everyone's struggling and whatnot to try to survive. And then these guys roll in, take height, and just show the little kids how it's done. You know what I mean? This is the analogy. It's when everyone has children and whatnot. They get on Call of Duty and they're talking mad shit. They get pooped on and they're like, Dad, we need help with the game. And so you call up all your boys. Everyone's like 50 years old. You put on the headsets and you keep it classic. Like you dive in and you play the game how it's meant to be played in the old days. Like, Endless just rolled in, Forza RX Squeeze, and they just closed the server. Like they closed it. Like so many games we're watching where zone bounces back and then high ground just like, gets their tea prepped, puts it in the microwave or in the kettle or whatnot, and just waits out the game and lets it happen and tries not to lose. And then these guys are like drop down in their Navy SEAL Team 6, eviscerate everyone, like punishing mistakes. Like one person has this box open, they're beamed, they're dead. And it feels like they're not even communicating about it. I'm like, damn. I was casting to him, like, it feels like I'm watching like season 4 or I'm watching chapter 1. Cause like right now these guys are like, they're looking like they're 5 seasons younger. Like it was absolutely insane.
I think it's cool that you go with this narrative, but honestly, this is something that we should be expecting every season from Mandalex. Like this is where he should have been performing the last 2 seasons, right? It's not like the dude is 40, it's not like he's out of his prime by any means. He's still a freaking amazing player. It's just when it came to FNCS's specifically, as the game went down through the season, that was a struggle point for him. For some reason, they would end up not being able to capitalize on a lobby with a lot of really good teams. And I feel like this lobby might still be the same type of deal for them. This is the game you're talking about where they end up taking height. And while this is a good sign, because I always thought that this team is like one of the very good mid-ground teams, and they should be developing a repertoire that's taking height and whatnot, and that's what they tried last season, but it failed, right? So the fact that they're able to do this is good. However, my point is that I don't necessarily think that this is a lobby where they are going to have the same struggles as last season, where there are going to be challenges for them, So I'm still not convinced, even though that this was a convincing week 3 qual, just because of the quality of the lobby, specifically the teams that were playing height, and the way the meta is developing on height in the first place, So I'm not convinced. However, I do think that X-Squeeze is a fantastic. It was Andalex, Xwiz, and Snazy last time. So 4ZR is a great addition to the two of Xwiz and Andalex. He's just a god. He's just so good. So him being on this team does give me a little bit more hope than last season.
Yeah, for me, that was all just I'm hyping it up because it's all just first impression type beat stuff, and they're about to be really harsh here. I feel like these guys are going to die in finals because the way they actually saw any light of day was like game 2 and specific games where they had a little bit of high ground control or higher mid ground control. If you look at the teams that are qualified, as you're saying, for finals, like same beat as you, there's not room for another, and there's not room for these guys. I feel like every time there's friction, the second beat is also off spawn. I don't think they have. I believe they were landing Misty. I'm not sure if Misty's going to be completely open for these guys, and everyone knows that if you can test Andalex and Xwiz, sometimes you get out easily, like off spawn, or like these guys are kind of shaky off of it. That was the issue I feel like in the last few seasons that have kept them suppressed, because when they had Caddy uncontested, man, I think even in like qual weeks, they pop. They do very well. There's been like one qual week where they had uncontested and they just played horrible. I think that was because it was a while of not being able to play at that, top level uncontested. I'm not sure if it was this season or last season. It might have been qual 1 or sometime before. Maybe Stacey was on the team then, but the big issues are just those two things: off spawn, which is once again not guaranteed in finals, and then the way they're playing now, they're gonna have to take out Aqua and Tayson and Chapix, like a bunch of different teams that you can't really take out because they kind of just lose a fight, not the war, and then it keeps going. Yeah, they function. You're saying on mid ground. I always look at it. It's kind of a higher mid ground layer, and then that's where like Benji's sitting. That's where like a bunch of other trios are sitting. Where else do they go? Low, Savage is there. Like there's it's this lobby. They have strengths as a trio, but I feel like they just need too much room right now, and it's not going to be there in the finals.
Yeah, no, I that was kind of my point, but I'm not as harsh, right? I think that they can do very well, and honestly, I think this is one of the strongest teams when it comes to it. But they have to be in good form, and because they focus on other things throughout the season, their form gets weaker for the grand finals portion. But having 4ZR kind of changes it a little bit to me, because he is somebody who's literally always on form. And I mean, this entire team is, but I don't know. In terms of off spawn, I think that might be an issue, but I think that maybe this season is the season where it'll be easiest for them. Like Caddy in the past, they just literally were not playing well there against even teams that they should definitely shit on, The
no-names,
Yeah. And 4ZR is a great off-spawn fighter too. So adding him he's definitely better than Snazy, I'd say. So yeah.
It's just a bit naive to think that like they're gonna get Misty and Meadows, because like historically we've seen in like seasons of the FNCS, it's always like down the middle. Like, there's always two teams there. There's just not enough space on the map. If they do get Misty and Meadows, like if they get both sides of the drop, I feel like there's high potential for some big stuff to go down, but it's going to be difficult to get that. Maybe they even fight that with 4ZR, because I feel like that's the type of fight that he would like. It's kind of reminiscent of how Sweaty Sands works, or Believer Beach now. I still make that mistake every week on broadcast. We'll see how long it lasts. But true.
Not a mistake. True. The mistake was changing it.
The next year after that, though, is the guys who finally make it, the protagonists, it seems like, of EU for right now. If there was like an arc to look at, if we're watching an anime, these guys would be the main character, making it finally in the last week, breaking a curse, and now we're on to nationals of this sports competition. Vino, Taste, and Reason, and they clinched it as well towards the end, and they made it interesting by doing a little bit of trolley trolls in the fourth game.
What was that? Because I caught the end games mostly I just caught the end games, so I don't know what the hell you're referring to.
So like it was just like I believe it was end game, like 8th to 9th zone, and like these guys just missed shots, and it was like somewhere near low ground, something they just wouldn't do, like 3 people jumping into a place when they still had room to keep playing. And like it was close.
Yes, I remember Vino just diving a random box.
Yes.
He looked like he was Day, like on the leash of reverse 2K, and then you're like, wait, there's no leash. He's just fucking going for it. Like, what is he doing? He doesn't have a controller. Like, are you crazy?
Like, they still had time, and it's like the stuff we're building is like, yo, they just need this one game. Like, this is just the one place they can't take a risk. And then like, yo, hey, yo, please, like, don't do this again, because that's how it happened in Qual 2 and Qual 1. It was like game 3, 4 is like where the issues are. Then games 5, 6 could be good. Game 6 could even be like close to a win, but because of those mistakes, you're not able to catch up. But yeah, they finally do end up clinching it out. I'm just never sure if this team's like trying in the first place. I'm never sure like what their actual peak is. There's so many good teams playing now. Like, I know people are always, at full cylinders, full blast, 24/7 while they play. But yeah, that's just my take on that. I'm not sure like what their absolute peak is. I'm pretty sure they could win FNCS overall, like 100%. But I also think that in one of these games this week, they had surge issues mid-game, or they had I know for certain they had a very shaky push. Not sure if it was emotional, but like Taysom like actually ran into Coral Castle off of a pick, and almost like not through the entire like game itself, but like these guys got into like an altercation when they could have just looted out their POI. And I feel like this trio still suffers from home zone advantage when no other trio in EU really does. Home zone being like when you get the first circle and you clearly have the biggest advantage out of any other POI on position. It feels like they just don't know what to do.
I love that.
Every time they don't have zone.
That's
I got it. Game 2, I was like, hey, let's fucking do it. And I mean, yeah. But it's like, I feel like where their issue is where like every time they have to rotate and be dynamic and the entire server is forced to as well beside them, they can easily find picks and shots on everyone else. But once again, every time they're on home zone, they're pushing Coral Castle with like 2 guns. They're doing weird shit, like losing fights at the solo house on the left, I think in week Qual 2, which is why they came fourth. Like, they're doing a bunch of questionable things, and it feels like they're panicking and not having like a set structured plan going into things on those weeks, which I think they'll be able to fix when there's good teams around them and they can predict things more. But I feel like, I don't know if it's like a reason virus he brought on after playing with, Noah Riley and Vidal,
no, I think
because those guys had that issue.
I think the same symptom happened with Forza Artisan and Nate too, throughout the beginning of that last season as well. So I don't.
So it's a Sweaty
I don't
Sands
think
thing?
it's a reason thing. Low-key, it might be, because Sweaty Sands is a place where you definitely want to be trying to put, because bro, your loot advantage is crazy, right? Talk about home zone advantage. Your loot advantage is absolutely insane compared to the teams around you, right? Coral, the solo house, Holly, like it is insane. The only place is the towers, right? And what is it called now? What?
All the rest is the tower. Which tower? Like the center of the
Boney
map?
Burbs, Salty Towers.
Boney Burbs.
Is it still like, called Boney Burbs?
Yeah, it's Boney Burbs. I call the center of the map just like purple shit. And then
on broadcast? Oh shit. You called it that? Let's go.
Yeah, we go with home zone and the same game purple shit. And it was a good balance, so I got to stay on.
Nice.
Yeah. There's definitely an issue with Sweaty in general, and like without the Spire and like Boney being a longer battle now, bullying that POI is harder.
Yes.
With Slurpee now being weaker, everyone landing at Weeping is using that to their advantage and actually pushing there instead of getting pushed by Slurpee. Because they need a lot more time now to do their thing, right? So I feel like the whole left side of the map has had a little bit of an identity change. And now Coral is like one of the stronger spots, if not the strongest almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like it got an upgrade of so many chests and like God chests as well, cosmics around the place too. So it's like we actually don't have experience in terms of what things are going to be in those finals, but these guys will have to figure it out very soon.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's a reason for pushing into Coral. But one thing is really cool for them is, as a new trio, I find that their path in was literally the most optimal thing they could have done, right? Barely miss out week 1, week 2, both weeks, right? Barely missing out. Played very well in those weeks, a far cry from what FNTASIA Nate and Tayson did in the season prior, where it wasn't as good, like good play. You have high level individual play from everybody, high confidence. They might lose a fight sometimes, but they're also winning most of their fights, the ones that they're taking. So that is a good sign too. And as a new trio, they got full 3 weeks of experience, and then they skipped heats too. So they have no risk of that, right? So that is fantastic. This is literally the most ideal circumstance for Vino, Tayson, and Reason in my mind.
Yeah, no, definitely. And literally, as you said, skipping the worst part about a new team trying to make it through, which is semis. This is what everyone planned to do when the announcement first came through. Yeah. And everyone's got an idea. Oh, take these 2 weeks. Quality 3 is all going to be fine. So they have the most experience. I just feel like the biggest issue is now with the changes. Maybe they wish they got to play semis to see exactly.
I think one of the things that you're talking about in the prior weeks, I didn't get to watch those weeks because we were delivering a baby, but like they were experimenting. They were experimenting. Pushing Coral is a great idea to me, by the sounds of it, because if it got upgraded, then all of a sudden you get access to like free loot of people who are just getting cosmic chests left and right, like. That seems very good, and it's a place where you can have isolated fights. So if you find that you have an advantage on a team or playing Coral, and you're W-king them in grands, that could give you a grand finals winning like setup. Could be the thing that wins you grands.
This was pre-upgrade, so. That was like the one concerning thing, but at the same time, I think it was like
everybody knew that it was coming. Everybody knew there's gonna be 15,000 chests. No, I'm just kidding. But all those different variety of strategies and things, I think, is not necessarily a bad sign, especially if other things are working for them too. The scary part would be if they had been doing a bunch of things, pushing a bunch of these ideas and being like, and just being flat out awful every time. That would be the concerning thing. This is not concerning. This is
not at all.
This is them being in position to win FNCS.
Yeah, but I just feel like every other spot doesn't have these issues on home zone. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to knock off people like Hengenis, Chapix when they have north side, or even Analex with the south. Like I just feel like it's gonna be tough.
You're comparing Hengenis and Chapix who've been playing out of Craigie for 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Like if they don't have their shit set, then I don't know. And it's also an area that hasn't really been getting changed that much. So yeah, I don't necessarily think that is a fair comparison, especially because this is a fully new trio. Yes, Tayson's been playing out of Sweaty. Yes, Reason's been playing out of Boney. So it's not like they are unfamiliar completely, but it is a fully new trio. Tayson was playing with 4ZR, who's above him in this. Reason was playing with O'Reilly and Fadil, and Vino was playing with Aqua the season before. So Aqua and CRR, was it? It was fucking lit. I wish we saw that.
Dude, it sucks that you didn't get to talk about I think it was week 1, because we had fucking Michos back with CRR and X8, and they're gonna be playing in the semis as well. We'll tune into that in a sec on the potty, but like, man, it was cool watching these guys like delve it out for that 1 week at least.
Yeah, I saw a lot of hype about it on Twitter, waiting for baby TW being born. Like I saw a lot of hype about it, and I'm just like not sold. I'm much more hype about Mongrel than Micho, and I've felt that way for a while. And watching Mongrel this weekend probably solidified that a little bit more for me too. But obviously I can't really speak to I did watch them play in like the preseason, Yeah. There was something, I think it was like a Cash App Extra or something like that, where I was like, okay, like they have some chops, W King, but that's gonna get them into trouble. Was that the same thing? Anyway, we don't have to talk about that because that's well, when it comes to heats we can talk about it.
Yeah. Now for me, like Mongrel was in this heat and he did play, and for me you're talking about, a little bit more hype for Mongrel. For me, it was like, putting more hype, 16th place right there on the Kiko, man. Oh my goodness. Because I know we've seen some cool stuff. This little dude in previous seasons. He's been in the 11 video of, up 5 controller player, this, blah, blah, that. But it's like, this week, like I know they might not have made every single end game, but the way this guy's like, just get the fuck out of my house, stop landing here. Let me actually dick on like 3 different people solo by myself. Like, you know, usually we have to do mental math and add shit up, like when we get a new trio POV to see exactly how many elims the trio has. I had to look at Kiko's ticker, bro. This guy has all of them. It's like 5, 6, 7, 8, like rolling in the end game. Like, it's just, man, he's so good. And the way he like shuts shit down, it kind of is reminiscent of like in World Cup when you had those guys who were slightly ahead of the meta. They knew a little bit more about, you know, box to box fighting, or the way to, you know, take certain angles that are better, that make your crosshair easier to hit headshots with the shotgun, like basic stuff everyone had. It seems like now he's more advanced in this box to box early fight zone / area compared to anyone that steps up to him. Like, he makes them look like bots, man. These guys are like, you know, why is it Lelis, Hati, some people rolling? These guys aren't bad players at all. Like, they know what to do. They've won retail off of thousands of trios over countless seasons, but no one can stop the big Kiko, bro. It's just crazy to watch.
Yeah, that's always been something that I've hoped we were able to see on grand finals level. I know a lot of people are fans of his, and yeah, it'll be really cool to see how it actually plays out in heats, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to move back over towards this last game of Void. Is this Karma? Who is this?
That's Karma, yeah.
Karma. Okay, good. I was pretty sure, but you know, you can never be sure. You can never be sure. This last game was so much fun to watch, bro. Like, it was so lit. It came down to like the last moment too, and huge props, by the way, to your fucking casting. Insane. Like, actually crazy good. So yeah, this last game was probably one of my favorite things in any qual week, like, for a while, you know.
I think this was my favorite game 6 to cast ever too, just because of how things broke down at the end, and at the same time, like, it felt like a movie, like a Nolan type stake of, like, you know, both teams side by side doing one thing, responding with another. It was like an orchestral music piece. The trumpets answer the clarinets, which answer the percussion, right? And they're going back and forth, racking up these points. And then everything gets so tense when everyone loses teammates. Everything goes down, ready to call the winning moment. And like we're watching Cars 3 or Cars 2, I forget which one it is. Like, you know, all the cars mash up, the top 3 go down, and like Lightning McQueen zooms by like everyone else. Like, I see Fast Roki, and it's still possible. And holy fuck, these guys are doing it. And it's like a wonder story. I think we had this situation in EU again once as well, with Jam Side, but it wasn't to this extent where like you watch the cars in front of you tank and burn, and then you zoom right past. Like, it was so cool. And props to Pastroki as well, because kind of did it in like his fashion, even though, you know, playing with a brand new trio once again, one that it's, you know, first of all, he's been playing with Ardit and Pizza for so long too, like in a certain play style. They always have this like takeover type game, and it's usually just on like high ground, right? Like, it's always contest height in some weird fifth zone way. It's one of the reasons I just love watching them, because they'll always try this wacky shit. But like, they took that takeover style and like put a muffler on it a little bit and controlled it the whole way through, to where they like try to mimic teams here and there. They try to shadow them as much as possible, and then towards the very end, they actually played for their point score instead of their position for one time, because usually they're just trying to get to a better position no matter how close they are to qualing, or, you know, no matter what the placement threshold is about to be. They'll take risks. They played safe when they needed to, they boxed up when they needed to, and then as a result, you know, got to do their wacky retake, all lived, won the game. It was like a coming of age, and just like Taste and Vino and Reason, you know, week to week you see improvements, week to week they're trying things. This last week, like, this is the ideal thing for Fast Roki, right? Being able to play multiple weeks and then qualing in third.
Yeah. I think the most impressive thing for me in this game was the fact that they took out some of the competition ahead of them, right? And I don't think it was necessarily noticed on the day, but it was Podesai and them who were ahead of them, and then it was obviously they took out the rest of this as well. But yeah, he just started farming. He just started farming. Everybody else was dead at a certain point. 150. This shot is insane. and like, and his team is not even with him. He's like trying to get back to them, and all of a sudden there's another trio inside of the box, and then they finally take height, and then it ends up being a situation where they have to win the final fight too. It's just really, really cool. The entire way through, it was such a good play, and probably should get a little bit more credit because yeah, they're going to grand finals now, and I think this is a team not necessarily. Would you say that this is like a Queasy Truex Jerky situation where they're primed in a bunch of different scenarios, and they are peaking at the right time too?
I feel like they're primed for success just because there is so much, like, I'm not sure if the word is tension, it's more so friction. Like near the top, if you watch Qual 1 with all the play styles that are happening, I think the Queasy situation was like, these guys had the power, like one of the biggest hidden power spots of the season, right? To be able to perform off of. And they had a very good game plan meeting that as well. That could kind of climb over a bunch of these top tier playstyles. Yeah. I think this will be a season of like top tier playstyles clashing. So the hidden type teams that get to survive and then kind of thrive later, like Fast Rookies, are primed that way. Not the same way, like the same situation as Queasy Truex Jerky, where they can have, you know, they're not one of the top teams that have eyes rolling in that can get first. But they can get first. It's not in the way that they have a god POI. They'll get control of the server. They'll have the first game win and whatnot. It might be like a hidden steal from everyone else. Just because I think they're landing over at what's it called, Orchard, which once again you're surrounded by a bunch of different situations. You have a little bit of room to do what you want to do because Steamy will always be fucked no matter what, right? With contestant.
Just the rule of,
and if not,
the rule of EU since solos.
and if not, Savage takes his time and you can get out of Orchard before they get out of Steamy. I'm just not sure what they do from there because I think for Surge and whatnot, for what we were watching, like I think it was between like games 2 and 5, these guys just punished worse teams or people who are in their first round 4, like not building as well, getting free mid-game tags. I don't think that'll be super possible in finals. If they just figure, I personally didn't watch Orchard, but if they figure out how Orchard works, move in, they'll have a steal type run towards the end game. Because you saw what Fast Rookie did in game 6. He does the same things with Ardent Pizza. He does the same thing season to season where he becomes like, he goes sicko mode. He becomes a star for a little bit. It's because of his play that his team gets to take height, and then everyone's structured, organized, reliable. They win out a game. And they've had that chance a little bit before. I think Skype was the issue for them last season. Every time these guys had height, Skype didn't grief it, but they tried to take height as well. And it was like there's one infamous game where like height was fighting, like game 4 of the finals, all the way back, like in zone. Like they were still in like zone fighting on high ground while it was moving, and like everyone starts dropping like flies. I was like, yo, Fast Rocky has a sick position. Sky Airwalks come up, but then like Jules is not done holding on to it. And then all these like, you know, not secondary, tertiary teams, but all like the hidden teams, like they try to do their chance at taking height when Aqua's not in the game or Chapix is down. They'll be there, I think, this season with a stronger spot with at least Fast Rocky. I think with Void and Karma, that's an upgrade from Ardent Pizza personally. And it's also a better spot, I feel like, than half splitting Misty Meadows. Like, I think coming down from the north side and being ahead of Chapix, being ahead of Savage is going to be a big advantage compared to trying to muck something up and maybe third party lazy or do something crazy at Weeping. Like, there's not that many options at Misty, but there's so much more from Orchard. They'll have a chance 100%.
Speaking of griefing height, this next team, Sapphic, Default, and Putric. First off, before we get into like the actual gameplay, I love the fact that Default is doing what he did last season. You know, hopefully he doesn't do what he did last season in Grands, but he's doing the right. Yo, he was already like one of those guys that you're just like, wow, this is an up and comer. This guy's gonna be really, really, really good down the line. Like he's going to be really, really good. And I was really hoping that, you know, the mistake that he made last season, getting bans in Grands, was not going to be him disappearing off the face of the earth, and that we'd have a recovery for him because he's just really good. And it'd be really sad to just all of a sudden be him being gone. And it's good to see people learn from their mistakes. So Sapphic, Default, and Putric, new trio. And I was impressed, but I was also really unimpressed. Like really, really unimpressed at certain times because they were always there on height, and not necessarily at the beginning, because I think that went to a different trio who was like, it was Blaster, Yaxu, and Nakaz at the beginning of the tournament. It was them, like, first 3 games, they got, like, 5th zone, they're on height, and then they get landed on by Sapphic, Default, and Putric, or Link, Fury, and Irazumi. So, like,
yeah.
The problem was that after they got it, they did absolutely nothing with it. Absolutely nothing with it. In one of those games, they lose it to Andalex, 4ZR, and Xweez. And in the other game, I'm watching them like they're trying to play anti-pad, where they're like breaking out old height and staying all on the same layers so they can fight it together, rather than, split tarp or a different strat, whatever. They're trying to play and break out the old heights just in case it bounces back so nobody can land on it and stuff. But that's all they're doing, and they're not finding any elims. They're not pushing any specific layers down. They're not doing anything with their height except for placement. And that is a problem, because you see them have 2 wins, the only team with 2 wins this day, and they fall short. They fall short.
Yeah, I feel like this is just one of the best reactive trios, and that never shines that well in quals. I feel like that quality of, like, leaving height alone and not doing anything is a problem, but might be the solution for, like, finals, because they are in the same positions like this. Those times where they are going for, the retakes, that Irazumi might be, trying to contest height as well, or they have to beat what's it called, Nakaz all the way on height. They're winning those the majority of the time. And, like, when it comes to finals, I don't think they'll have an opportunity to just sit there and no one's going to try to look up at them or beam at them. Like, someone needs to do something to them for them to react to. And in quals, sometimes that just doesn't happen. I feel like in finals, they'll always be able to fight and at least be guided by other teams to make the right plays. If this does repeat, though, it does look bad, because they are missing the, grab and finish the game moveset from their arsenal. Like, they don't have a closing, I think, strat book at all. It's just being able to be in a good position is one thing for them, and then after that is, hey, play it safe. And that doesn't win you finals. Like, it might in 6 games get you top 3, but the one other issue too is, like, I feel like this playstyle gets burnt out over 12. Like, even if you are surviving on height or you're getting good placements here or there, like, if you're playing such a passive playstyle near these layers, you're gonna start getting, like, pooped on and, like, start to become, I feel like, inconsistent over 2 days. Like,
but I'd say it relies on, like, randomness, right? Like the randomness of the game a little bit for it to and while over 6 games it could be really nice, it could also be really bad, and over 12 games it should average. I think that's what happened with Queasy, Trulux, and Jerky, right? And if this is the average, then this is actually really good. If this placement, like, look at this, first 14 and a half of the games they're getting at least 5 elims, like.
Yeah, but I also feel like if you are a reactive trio, like, as the games go on,
I like that point. I really like that point about Grants and reactiveness.
Yeah, it's just the issue is that as the games go on, like, as we move into day 2, people get used to how you react. Like, I feel like one of the reasons that reactive trios do so well in 6-game formats is that every situation that pops up is, like, brand new for both trios, and the reactive ones are sometimes at a little bit of an edge. It's surprising, but, like, if Aqua gets used to the way Sapphics doing his thing in fights, game after game after game, right? Like, if trios up top like Chapix start to actually punish these guys just trying to live and shadow them on second layers, waiting to react, like in games 8 to 12, I feel like they crack under the pressure. Like, 100% this can be consistent over 12 games, but I counter that by saying that, can they survive those 12s, or can they survive those 12 and be reactive for that period? Because one of the coolest things about this qual week is that it dealt with teams that might not be as able to adapt to them as these god trios are in the way they clap back and the way they react. It's just, I feel there's a skill differential there between them and, like, the top 5, the top 10 in Europe. I
think there is too.
They haven't made up.
I think that they can make it up. I just don't think that it's there yet. I think Default and Putric specifically are good enough to challenge Hen and Chapix in the future.
Yeah.
But not right now.
But like team to team right now, yeah. They need like some type of surprise or reaction from their side. It's a cool strat, and it might be a cool trap card. But once again, even in a card game, once you learn, the first time you play Hearthstone or Legends of Runeterra, you're like, wow, that trap card's insane. By your 10th game of playing Runeterra, you start to tech around it, right? You start to understand what these cards do or what this surprise is,
Sure.
and it might not work. But that's just a game theory. One lost Monoside Nikov. These guys rolling in. I don't know what to think because I don't feel like they'll be able to have this drop at all, even if they make it through semis. I'm not sure where they go or what it is to do for this team.
What's the drop?
Steamy.
I feel like Nikov has been in this situation so many times now, where he just lands at a POI that isn't like he's playing the qual game really well.
To the format well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But he's screwing himself down the line, which is interesting to me because I kind of feel like that is relatively optimal. The issue is that when it comes to grands, you're not prepped at the other spots. So if we can find the flaw on how to prep those other spots, because obviously you can play a lot of different places very well, then things will be different. But one thing that's good about it is it's grief proof. Like you can never have a situation like Hennis and Chapek's last season.
Yeah,
because you're
always adapt to a spot that's open
exactly.
and free. Yeah. That's true. But then, yeah, you are right in the sense of like, and that's the other thing with Sapphic Putric default too. Like, as good as they are reactively, I feel like one of the reasons that both these trios did so well, Sapphic had Dirty, and then these guys had Steamy, which, like, I know drop spots aren't the end all be all, but that much loot uncontested and have zones go the way they did.
Well, the players will tell you something else, man.
True. No, that's very true. It's just, I don't know, like these trios don't have like a set identity, which is why I feel like they don't, like they'll just slip. Like they'll slip when it comes to even qualifying for finals. I feel like to get top 10, to be up inside that business, like you need to be someone, if you want to follow that story, scroll down a little bit. Freemock from this week. It's kind of like that.
Freemock was in this week? What the heck? I didn't see him at all.
Like this is a story where like, okay, if these guys end up qualifying for semifinals, I have more hope in them than I do in One Loss than I do in Sapphic, because at least they have an identity up at Coral. At least they'll be coming in with a set foundation and game plan. And if things do go their way and somehow miraculously they fix their mistakes, they could end up like at the top.
Yeah. I disagree. I think that if they have an identity, then why is it not showing right now?
Yeah.
Whereas the other side, they've shown that they have form to play at least one situation correctly, which I think is a little bit more valuable. And this is not their first call, right? They made it week 1, was it? I'm pretty sure there's like a lot of hype behind Letwick in that week. But again, that was hard for me to keep up with. So
they had to, because they made semis, and that means that they had to make at least 2 round 4s. So. Really?
Is it that hard now? I thought it was still just making 1 round 4 pretty much.
If it is making 1 round 4, it has to be a little bit higher than 19th place if they want to be able to qualify. So they had to have been there. And if not, either way, man, is what it is. They're in a god heat that I believe we're going to be watching. So that's going to be fun to see exactly how these guys roll through with it. But I think for some of these guys, it was like the one big story as well. Like if you go from like 20th down to like 26th, JoJo's team, Vettel, a lot of these guys needed like 22nd, 26th, or needed to be in top
together.
20.
Let's go.
Yeah, but it's not fully play well anymore.
Yeah, well, what is play well anyways?
True.
I don't know.
They all needed to have a certain placement too, because it was final qual 3, and it was like more teams than usual that needed their spot to secure.
Wait, what? Then
semis.
play well disband because they ran out of money or something, or what? Like, that was a bad joke. Never mind. This is terrible.
I called me best friends. I was like, what?
That was an awful joke.
Yeah, it's that's the thing with what's it called? With some of these teams. I think Joshua was in that situation. These guys are still clearly struggling. Letwick is kind of part of that, but then once again, I feel like Letwick's the only one here with Wolfie and Freemock that has at least the identity portion down. So maybe it's worth something. But I'm not sure if there's any other heroes near the top to talk about. There's like a lot of hype over Bloomy, Pablo, and Tomsy, but I always just feel like is meme left on the desk. It's
I
meme
think so
everywhere. Yeah, so every time someone mentions, I'm like, yeah.
There was the episode we had DJ on the one time where I was like buying into the Tomsy stocks because he was like about to play with some gods preseason. I think it might have been like Reason and Tayson or something like that. No, maybe Vito and Tayson. I don't know. At this point, it's been like 6 years for me now. I've aged so much, so I don't remember. But yeah, I think it's mostly memes.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything from them.
Moments. Other moments. There's like,
you
know, slight flashlights in the sky. Last one to talk about. I feel like Link, Fury, Irazumi. They were leading the day at the start. I think up to the first 3 games, they were in first place.
Holy shit! Because these 2 games are crazy.
Yeah, they had insane games. They looked in top tier form. One of the coolest, I think this is like a CL attribute now. It's like this org just has players that are so good at reacting. Like they would hold height. If it wasn't Nate Gauze, it was Irazumi who started off 5th zone. And if anything happened to them, they would instantly drop down. They have the perfect disengage and play mid ground. They would trap people right above them and then just shadow them the whole way through. Every move they made, if they made a launch, these guys half padded. If they got ahead, it would stay under, and they survived until they either took it again or had just every elim blocked from whatever. Like how do I explain this? So one of the coolest things about height is like, especially people right under you, you can surprise them and trickle people down to the point where you can pressure them from different angles, right, and pick up elims. So all the pressure that height was making, these guys were blocking the finishing shots of height and kind of stealing their elims, like of all the trickle downs past them. So it was a cool strat, and it worked for like 2 games back to back. And I'm like, this is sick. Like, why aren't more people doing this? I think I've only seen it from like MXR sometimes in this old trio with Gray, and I wasn't Paco, it was someone else. But they were also in this squall week. But it was really cool. And then after that, it just fizzled out. It's like it's what I was talking about with Sapphic side in the finals. The reactions weren't fast enough. The disengages weren't completely clean. And this was like in mid game when they were getting pressured. Like this wasn't even all the way towards the super end. So I feel like that was one of the big issues. I think Surge might have been one of those problems as well.
Yo, Surge was hard this week. Like it was really hard. I was seeing teams like who are on height with Surge issues. Like when does that ever happen? I feel like this might have been one of the most difficult Surge weeks almost ever. I would love to see, one of those stats that's just like, here's what the Surge thresholds were for all different like weeks and just see how it has increased over time. Because I bet you it's been increasing and increasing and increasing just slightly for a long time right now.
It felt like people were on the clock more as well. There's one thing I've noticed with like FNCS final games is that, you do your 9 to 5 from games 1 to 3, like Surge is difficult. And then game 4, it's like, 70 people alive already. Like sometimes Surge is not a problem, or 72.
Yeah.
Like we had that game 4 happen, but then instantly at game 5, overtime, like it was right back to where it was like 76, 82 people alive. When usually it would be still 72, 74, down to 52, 54.
Isn't it so weird how that works?
Double shifted.
It's so weird how that works. Where, Fortnite is a social experiment sometimes, man. Comp especially, like, no joke. Like psychologists could write fucking essays about like huge studies because that phenomenon that you're talking about in like game 4, where all of a sudden there's only 70 people alive, is because everybody at the same time decided that this is the time where I'm going to fight as hard as I can off spawn, and it's literally 7 different trios doing it at the same time. And that's the result that happens. It's not like the entire lobby is just keying each other, which also is an interesting thing that happens at the third-party tournaments. But like, and then game right after, it's like, well, that shit didn't work, and everybody's on the same wavelength. It's so interesting. It is so interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, for them, like, I have a strong maybe Heats pick, maybe reboot round type beat if they stop reacting and start acting. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It was definitely like watching a team at like arbitrary level, by the way, at level 3 before become like level 10 now on an update. You know what I mean? Like it was a big jump in overall teamwork and skill. And I'm not completely sure if they've switched teammates up or whatnot, but that was EU week 3. NA is also on the way, and
let's look at heats real quick. I think it's easier to just look at heats first.
I might be able to get drop spots, so let me see if that's possible.
Bet that'd be crazy.
Yeah,
that
I'm looking
would be insane.
Do you know about dropspots.pro?
I do. Yeah, Jinja's website.
Yeah,
is that up already?
Man, they have the heats there, but they don't have any trios noted down yet, so unfortunately not.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that's the problem because the heats are not like official, so we're kind of just like guessing, but the top of it should be okay, right? So here's the list.
This should be fine. So the only difference in these
top
heats is
of the list should be fine because it's the people who are really high on series points, and then like at some point people get banned and they're not as high on series points.
There's only one switch up here. There's like one switch up between I think heat A and C, or there's like one team that got swapped, but it's nominal and they're not like an important like up and coming super trio that would change the whole heats. There's only one, which is cool this week. I think in all regions there's one team that switched heats. Regardless, these are the heats, and it might take a bit to go through them because I feel like this is the most even we've kind of seen things. A lot of the times there's like one super stacker heat, and there still is that little bit of a vibe and like interesting story, but every single heat here has major cool potential and has like an even level. The god heat I feel like to watch and to look at would be heat number 3, specifically just for like all the narratives we built up. Fly versus Bobby are literally in the same boat as Tayson, where they get so close to qualing. If Tayson was 4th, these guys were 5th. So, and that was how it was in week 2. Literally a top 5, and then couldn't actually fly by. And then Topic Default are right there too. Wolfies, who I think everyone's becoming even more of a fan of, especially after I think it was in Qual 2, they had some crazy wins and some crazy type of gameplays there. Mongrel storyline is here as well, which we barely got to touch on beforehand. Who else? Freemox here too. This was the most interesting thing. Has the most interesting bottom placing teams on the series leaderboard. So it'll definitely be a cool wrench in the mix.
I'm thinking this is gonna be actually pretty hard for Mongrel.
Yeah.
Is this Milan? No, there's no way that Milan's playing with a different team, isn't he? Milan, Sinan, Kidua? I don't know if that's actually him. Thought he was playing with somebody else. Anyways, I'm surprised to see Mustache, Malabuka, and Shizo here. But yeah, like I look at the oh, here's Mitro, by the way. I was really hoping that Marl and Mitro would be in the same heat. I was crossing my fingers. But it's not the case. Either way, he'd see, I think this is pretty even. I'm just glancing at everything, and I think this is pretty even because I'm seeing like a lot of teams that I'm surprised to see here, like Floki, Clement, Deciptos, Kinzo, Eyedrop, and Wakey, and Flick, Anas, and Thomas. Like, that is the biggest craziest surprise? Yes. Like, you have to fill me in on how, because I know they made week 1, right?
Yeah, but then they didn't make week 2, they didn't make week 3, and then in week 1. I'm pretty sure after watching, they just couldn't get anything going. I think their spot was uncontested. I'm just gonna go back really quick because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna confirm they had like a 20th type place beat. Like it wasn't pretty. Yeah, it was.
That is very interesting then. So this is like the time for them to just completely flip the script on everybody who's probably like, they're washed now all of a sudden, without even really watching.
No, it wasn't. They didn't make it in Qual 1. I think it was Qual 2. Then they didn't make it in Qual 1, and then Qual 2. I still don't see him. Hello? Oh, here they are. 18th place in Qual 2. So that's what I was remembering. So Qual 1 was the week where like all the big teams, like a majority of them didn't make it. Like 4ZR wasn't in there, or like there was a bunch of people we would expect to roll through to make it in. And then for this one, like it got so bad at a point where they started actually getting landed on by the team. I think it was Steady Cami Teak takes them out game 5. They midair while landing in a dirty get bullied out of the air, get dropped under their POI. Steady Cami Teak take over, which I don't think we've ever seen. Like these guys have landed together so long. Over the entire chapter. And this is the one game where things are going so bad throughout the day where it's an issue. And after that, like 19th place, 16th, like they're just not like, when you think about Thomas, Flick, and Anas, you think about endgame. One teammate goes down, two man's clutching, top tier. Maybe the first 3 games are bad, but 4, 5, 6, they always bring it back. That's how it's been, and they clutch 3rd place. First 3 games, kind of ass. Next 3, I'm hopeful. The Steady Cammy thing happens, and then after that, nothing.
Yeah.
Don't get anything going. They can't clutch. So I don't know what's happening with them. I mean, this is a team that you could still kind of predict they get top 3, right?
You would expect to, right? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, in the qual weeks for sure.
No, I mean like in the finals. Like,
yes, that would be what you think, but with the form that they have right now, definitely not. I think if anybody thinks that, then that is a mistake. Not that it's not possible. It's just it doesn't look as likely, you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the overall issues are because we didn't get to tune in that much because there was crazy stuff going on in Qual 2 anyways, near the very top. But I feel like towards the east side, like if SETI's playing, they have control over everything that Thomas, like, and Anas used to have. The mountains near there, especially with that new disc station added in season 7, it makes it so that SETI starts there or ends up there after the whole rotation. And it's such a better foundation to be able to hold everyone else off that these guys can't actually move in and do anything. But I have to dive in again to check that out a little bit more. I feel like at this point too, what's it called? Well, I guess I want to move on to like shoo-ins. Do you think there's like any teams from either heat that'll 100% come like top 6? I believe it is.
Yeah, well, I just don't know form, so I don't think that's something that people are interested in hearing me bullshit about. I'll just be straight up honest. Like I don't know full form. The only thing that I really know is people who played in week 3, and most of those qualled. So
true. I think one issue too for I'm just diving into this deep dive of Flick and Nas Thomas is that Egram is also in their heat and they're in first place, and this is a trio that used to also randomly go dirty and have the biggest stalled high build fights ever for no reason. Like it's just gonna be tough for these guys. I think this is gonna be the biggest test for them. And then shout out to Seti Kamitik as well, the best reboot round team that ever qualified. It's to skip this entire process after that good week 2 3rd place, so they're chilling. One big surprise for me. Are they the best reboot
team if they didn't even make it through?
But that's what I'm saying, man. The best reboot team that never made it through.
Okay.
Actually crazy. Snazy Robab's Nate. That's what I wanted to latch onto. Why the hell are they here? Why didn't this work like 4ZR, X Squeeze, and Endelex? Because they have similar pieces. They got Snazy. They have Nate's. Like,
I just don't think Robabs is the same quality as both of them, and for Tayson and I don't know, it just doesn't seem the same to me at all. Or sorry, Endelex and X Squeeze.
I feel like all things during the weeks, like one thing you could rely on when Snazy was with Endelex and X Squeeze is defense, like at least off spawn. Like if these guys ever got rattled, like they'd be able to hold their own. But this trio, for some reason, if one person gets knocked down or they do have a little bit of a challenge in their boxes, it affects them so much more than usual and kind of sets them off their path entirely. I feel like when you have people like Mitro who are rolling around off spawn, when you have players like Amplify who control so much of the mid game, like Amplify and Deceptos actually. Wow, this heat's crazy of in terms of like, you know, people who just box up and are like highway patrolmen. Like there's so much of this flavor here. I think it's gonna be tough for these guys to properly roll in. Buhai still playing, which is cool. Anyone else really? Heat one, I'm checking things out real quick. Yeah, I mean, it should be fun to watch. I'm not sure exactly how much
this happens Saturday, right?
Yeah, it's Friday, Saturday. I'm pretty sure our heats 1 on Friday, 2 on Saturday.
Cool.
So it should start tomorrow for EU, and then reboot round to Sunday. It should all be good. I don't think we have. No, we do have the heat lists for NA East, but
let's do results first. No.
Yeah, we'll quickly touch on results. Got to watch the games on super speed. I'm a 1.5 times man myself.
Oh yeah.
2 times. Yeah.
Weekly.
I got to be able to see the pixels. You know what I mean? I can't just read the matrix code.
Yeah, no, you gotta just be in there. It's literally ingrained into your brain. The kill
You got that
feed is
USB-C slot in like your pinky that you just push it into.
Yeah.
And then 2 times the speed. For NA East, this was kind of like I think a week of like redemption overall for, I guess, that first place team. 100% Rocane mega dubs, and specifically I feel like for Rocane, these guys were like in 30th, I think, in week 1, like some Duke smelly non-showered for 10 days type shit on their trio.
Yeah.
And every pro I'm asking about, like behind the scenes too, when it comes to Rocane, where is it at? So they didn't even make qual 2 and qual 1, they were literally in 30th. So it was like, yo, what's going on here with this god team, right? It's like everyone's talking to me, yeah man, Rocane's the weak link. Rocane isn't the one that's, like he's holding these guys behind. We missed the Rocane and Voil days. Rocane's dope in duos. When it comes to trios, what is Rocane doing? Bro, mega dubs down. Rocane clutches it out. Like, I think 3 different games in mid ground, like low ground type shit, like out of mats type shit against trios. This guy's just fragging and turning like their tents into hold on, let me see if I can. All right, do we have the turning like 10ths into 4ths and turning like 15ths into 7ths is insane. Like the value from that and getting those extra 2 elims or 3 elims overall pushed these guys so hard. And like he finally, I feel like, brought his weight up. But once again, it's under the caveat of like there's not these big teams around him early mid game, right? Boney Burms, I feel like one of the issues for these guys, we saw it last season, I think with Stretch's trio or Kanada's when they were rolling in, they get rolled in like these mid game fights. Or if they have like issues there, it feels like they still aren't, these guys aren't washed by any means, but they're not as fast or strong like as these other guys. Every fight is just like a 3-0 steamroll. I'm not sure if that's been super fixed, but from what I saw today, Rocane is kind of finally back in full form, and is one of the biggest reasons with the clutches these guys are back in overall or got overall first place, which is sick to see.
I just think that the trio is hella volatile. Like last season, we're like, no, they're not. They're like, remember we were doing the drop spot match? I think it was only you who was like in heats. You're like, this team is gonna pop off. They're gonna win the heat. And I don't think they won the heat, but they did really, really well in grand finals, better than anybody expected, right? I think they got 6 or something. I don't remember. So I feel like getting 30th, then not qualing, and then getting first, that is such variance, man. No other team who's up at the top is having that level of variance, but that makes them a threat. No matter who's around them, I think that makes them a threat because they've proven they can do it in the grand finals, and they should have a good position in grand finals too in terms of drop spot. It's just a matter of how they're playing on that day.
I don't even think it's a they thing, bro. And it's about to be a bar. It's a matter of staying unfazed, all right? Because this literally is about the person who's not on FaZe Clan on their team. If Rocane plays badly, like, or isn't like literally at 150%, they don't get the 6th. They don't get anything close to what they're at. I feel like this man being the insurance for the team is one of the biggest reasons they do so well. Obviously, mega dubs get them to where they need to go, but to get that rocket, not just past the atmosphere, but to the moon, they need Rocane playing really well. And he finally did that today, and which is why they looked so goddamn good. But I'm not sure if like that can hold.
It's crazy to me that we're talking about this trio, and it sounds like Rocane is the star. Like, legitimately, that's what it sounds like right now. Yeah. I didn't get a chance to super watch them, minus their last game, because just in general, it wasn't necessarily like they were winning out the day, which is generally, I think, what's happening on NA East is just more average than anything. So yeah,
you gotta talk about their win con, right? Their win con overall, I don't think is to win NA East by any means. I don't think they're at that point. It's to get that 6th place again. It's to get.
But that's their goal, is what you're saying, not their win con.
Goal. I call it a win con. I call everything win cons when it comes to like what you need to do for some reason. I don't know why. And my win con for breakfast is to get my bread in the toaster. You know what I mean?
Well, that's a win con, because if you don't get it in the toaster, then it's not toasted. It's not breakfast anymore. That's your win con.
But like their win con, like for them to win grand finals, right? And this is kind of like the GOAT right now shit that I always say.
I
like
understand.
Backwards.
I can
For
tell
them
that it's
to
one of
win
these
grand finals, they'd have to come
dumbass
top 6. You know what I mean?
loop following Shia Wagers threads. How does your mind work, bro? Like, I just
that's what
don't
it is. Like,
get it.
that's a victory. A victory for them, a win for them, is to come top 6. You know what I mean?
That's well
good.
said. That's fine. What you just said
That's
is
their
good.
win con.
It's not
Their
a
win con,
win con.
That's their win con. Because
No.
if the win is top 6, then the win con is to
That's
get top
the
6.
end. That is the end goal, is to get top 6. The win con is what you have to do to get to that end goal.
So the win con is Rocane to get their win con of top 6. Very nice. Very,
all right,
there,
cool. Yeah, no, it's fine.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're saying. Moving on to Divine Nardwar and Zlem. This is a trio that I was just kind of confused about overall. When I was watching, it just
Dude,
felt
this
like
team always gets a random qual week that they're just like godlike.
Yeah.
Every time. They did it last season. I think they did this season before. It's just like every single time. What was it? Season before, it was week 2 out of Slurpee. They just were like on height every game and just like, well, nobody's contesting.
And always there's a question like, where were they before? And like, why now? And even with like a Duke game, like where they got absolutely almost no points. I think that's like 5 in total or 6 in total. They still end up with a 2nd overall, which just goes to show how much elims can really push you forward and bring games back. Because they had one of the worst average placements out of what's it called? Just generally everyone on the day within top 10, yet still in 2nd. And then the last one, which I feel like is troublesome in terms of how these guys got here, Creo Bucky Clicks in 3rd. These guys were struggling, it felt like, game after game after game. Like in head-to-head matchups, like, you know, when it comes down to like a 3v3v3 at the end, the team they're fighting, they lose to. Any team in the box next to them, they try their best. They might be, you know, at a disadvantage coming into the fight. But you would expect Bucky, Creo, and Clicks to be able to win off that disadvantage. You know, you still have a little bit of an edge, but they're losing to like Spegu, D-Roller. They're losing to like, you know, teams you wouldn't expect them to. They drop down to Cold, Crip, and Elite as well. And like in terms of the egos we see on the timeline, that should not be the case. It should be top tier upper echelon. Shout out to Crip, by the way, as well. First game, dominating high ground win. Looked pretty cool rolling in there. Let me double check. Okay, not high ground win, just high ground substance, I guess. There was no win. I don't know what I was watching. Jesus Christ. Apologies. But they're just losing to teams that should be shaking in their presence.
Oh my God, look at Master Shifu. Master Shifu's popping off. What was that?
Yeah, he's there with the builds.
Sorry, continue your point. I was just very enthralled.
No, that was just my thing. It was just I just didn't understand why they were having so much trouble in Qual 3 when this is the time where like every team's gone and now it should be like their playground. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They should be able to do whatever they want to do. It still seemed like they were very challenged in terms of like other teams.
Does it feel like they're just
them.
Constantly in chaos? They just are constantly in pure chaos. That's how I feel when I watch them.
They have breathing room. I would agree with that actually 100%, but they also have like a little bit of breathing room in between and then choose to go into chaos again.
Yeah.
Like themselves. They're
I don't
like,
know.
Fuck, we're not getting fucked.
Fuck, he's
me.
just the Joker who just fucking wants to just be. I don't know. One thing that I noticed about them is like everybody wants to. Doesn't feel like they have. For a duo with such history as Bucky and Creo, you would expect them to have pretty established roles, you know?
Yeah.
But it feels like everybody wants to do everything. I don't know. I saw Clicks multiple times. Somebody's looking through a cone, and Clicks just runs up to the cone. He's like, "Let me fucking see." I'm just like, okay. Like he couldn't have just told you what was the rotate plan. Like he couldn't have. Just, you could just be doing something else, you know? I don't know. So yeah,
I feel like they're gonna struggle a lot in finals. I want to see exactly what their drops look like too, but that'll take. Oh, never mind. There's nothing here for NA East. Is what it is. But we'll see what ends up happening. It's ultimately going to be a test of that. I think they actually had a very big save coming third because possibly not. I feel like they just wouldn't survive heats. I don't think they can live in that much chaos. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Bucky and Creo have been skipping heats for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that is massive. So they did it again, and it should be. I think it'll be okay. It's not going to be. You would think that it's. Nah, never mind. You add clicks, it's never going to be a winning situation until clicks changes.
Yeah.
That hurts to say, but is it just not true?
That I feel like that is true. Because A, stats don't lie, and B, it kind of has been the wave overall.
Wait, at the same time, don't lie. What do you mean? What is there? Is there some juicy broadcast stat that I missed here?
No, I'm just. It's not a broadcast stat, but like, there haven't been wins from clicks.
Okay,
right?
Okay, all right.
And I feel like when I'm watching clicks as well, I specifically just have like that season X bias from watching the potential of him, Spades, and Crims just crumble due to like outside of game stuff. It had nothing to do with the way these guys played. It was just the personalities that were brought in, which were the issue overall. You know what I mean? So like, I feel like until that changes, like the whole let me see in the cone, that's not something that you'd ever see as like that's a personality thing, right? That's not like an in-game like you're missing shots type thing. It's just like confidence and trust, I feel like, are just hard to come by. But I feel like the seasons are changing, especially in NA East. We talked about Renaissance. It just feels like we're literally in a new age now. And we also talked about the new age as well, like as a period of how things are going. We're still kind of in that. A lot of these older trios are kind of feeling that, you know, like it was back when we were watching Chap play with like, you know, see, like it was with AV a bit and everyone was kind of surprised, but like, yo, AV's so lit, you know, it's kind of nice. And suddenly he's playing with people you never assume a Chap would play with, right? I'm waiting for the days until like Bucky, Creo, Clicks now playing with like insane up and comers that don't have brands and names. Like it feels like it's getting to that point, and maybe then Clicks ends up changing. But they still, you know, that's all based off of like 6 games in one qual week, maybe, and a few plays here and there. They might end up popping off in finals, because we have seen Clicks do that too at Sweaty, you know, with Bizzle. Granted that off spawn at points, you know, that trio with Bugha had high potential and placed very well. The only issue overall was just the season after that, off spawn contestation. You end up losing it. You end up losing the next season's priority.
The personality clashes go out of control. Yeah,
I feel like Clicks was on such a good like overall ramp, like with that trio, and they had a lot of cool future ahead of them. And that Sweaty Sands loss, like, I think set every single person in that trio back a lot. Maybe not Bugha overall, but I think for Clicks and Bizzle, they definitely got stepped back a little bit. And Bizzle took a big hit from, like, you know, that was literally trending on Twitter, like for a weekend, based off of a
I mean, stuff like that just, to me, makes it seem like Clicks is one of the worst teammates to have.
Yeah.
You know? Because and it happened again this season too. It's like, who's the target of Clicks' fan base right now? Is it Creo? Was it? Yeah, it's Creo, Rio or whatever.
True.
Yeah, it's just like,
yeah,
they always find somebody.
Yeah,
and
it was Bizzle,
and it just ruins their mental, and it just ruins the dynamic on the team. Although they got third place, so maybe I'm speaking on my ass. That's just how I feel. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see though. Semis will be fun, interesting. Usually these guys end up just popping out completely. It might have just been a little bit of struggle in the earlier games, and even then they got like second and third overall. It just looked like, you know, the games that they were getting a little bit, the 22nd and 12th, they were like rough losses in games 1 and 6. D-Roller, Spegu, and Charlie, they were kind of going head to head with Clicks, Bucky, Creo the whole day. And unfortunately, you know, sometimes winning in the boxes, sometimes losing in them overall, and ultimately got 4th, tied with Beef Wupian and Zuki Fishy. When watching these guys, they were like the Taste and Vino reason quality of surviving in low ground and then doing a final fight all together, having one person live a little bit, doing a little bit more damage. But unfortunately, they're not Taste and they're not Vino. That damage doesn't really go past maybe taking out one person. They're not really taking out more trios solo or as a duo after the fact. And that also gets them kind of near top 5. This next one, I think this is the most surprising non-qual. Magnolia, Durant, and Swish, I
Yeah.
believe, or Squish. Apologies. And these guys won 2 games. This happened with Safik as well, I guess, right? Winning 2 games.
Yep.
In qual 3 and then not qualing. And off of a dominating spot as well. Like, these guys were controlling height in a lot of these games, the same way Zlem was. Like, unquestioned, unasked for, honestly. Like, where are you guys coming from? And then just like duking down on people. But then couldn't translate it as, like, you know, 33rds with nothing, 19s with nothing. I guess it's not enough when other people are just playing mad consistent.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was it. NA's
yeah.
was mad consistent this time around. And they also felt lackluster when they had their wins, you know?
I think wins literally don't matter on this region. Like,
I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. I think that is a major key.
Yeah. Because, like, in EU, that's one of the biggest things that ends up setting apart tiebreakers, that ends up putting people all the way in first place. But on this region, like, a win that's down deep in 12th place says Naunzi furious. Like, they just barely survived. That's all because the first and second places, a lot of the time, literally mean nothing in this region. It's always these second with, like, crazy 26th place. Hold up, I didn't scroll down far enough. The Peacock Beefers themselves, like, you know, the win will give these guys their 7, their 9 elims here and there, but it's always like maybe off a home zone, maybe off a lucky break of a bounce back. They get to live a little bit. For Furious, they played heal game. A lot of the times it is heal game with a few elims, I guess, in that win. But while they're winning, like, you go to the top 3, you know, someone's clutching up 2nd or 4th. Someone's getting 3rd with close to double digits, you know? Like, that I feel like is what to aim for. That's the win con in this region. Correct term usage, hopefully. I feel like that is the wave. But it's
sure,
the term usage is up for clarification. Okay, we'll allow it. We'll see.
Low key, this is a conversation for, like, another episode, but the fact that this is more of a pattern on NA compared to EU, doesn't that kind of tell you that NA knows a little bit more what they're doing than EU does?
I would say they know less, no?
Maybe. I think you'd probably argue it either way.
Yeah.
I think if you have Calc, he'll argue it one way, and if you have somebody else, they'll be like, no, what the hell? We know how to be consistent and play for play for wins as well. I almost fucked up the term too.
I think playing consistent on this region is just so much more palpable because so many people are coming in that are brand new or just doing random things. Like, trying to take control of this region.
That's a good point.
Something seldom trios could do.
Yeah.
And a lot of those players are retired now. So,
that's a good
and the
point.
other big thing. I think this is the main reason. There is no practice anymore on this region. There are no scrims. Every scrim delves down into just drop into your drop spot and grief it as much as possible. There is no elite. Elite hasn't ran for a month. Crack hasn't ran for 6 weeks. The way these guys used to be able to dominate is having that practice, getting those flavors, working out different type of height splits. You don't see this elite level of stuff anymore, I feel like, out of NA. Like, we're watching Zlem just win. We're watching, you know, what's it called? Magnolia come in and kind of just hold height. Like, yes, you know, there are the top 3s that are popping off, but I feel like the reason low ground teams are the ones that are looked at, and low ground this, mid ground that, consistency is valued so much more, is that's the most reliable way to play the game when you don't know what the fuck's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Stay in your box trying to go over control. Without practice, I mean, I don't think there'll ever be any evolution, right?
No, I disagree. I think you don't necessarily need to have scrims to have evolution.
Really,
I just
but, like,
don't think that people have necessarily realized this yet. Sure, like, I think you need to practice certain things, but I think if you come in with a game plan and you actually think about how you're gonna approach things, then you could execute them in the actual matches. Even though you might think that, like, yeah, you don't know what other people are going to be doing, but you can still account for it. So no, I disagree.
Yeah, but, like, even if you haven't played, like you've never had or held height against these type of players ever, you think?
Ever? Come on now. Like,
I mean, it's a very new flavor. Everything's changing. Like, I think one of the things in NA East why certain teams are always ahead of others, or got to dominate or control things, right? And wins kind of did matter in the past. That's because everyone practiced against each other. They kind of knew how to finish certain things or punish certain players moving in certain ways.
Maybe that's the case, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that is the only way to do it. Is my point.
True. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so close to being really excited, but then they fell flat. the new age.
Yeah.
Muzz, Speedy, and Looter. They were so close to being like, okay, they did it, like yay, you know. But then their last 3 games were bad. The badness was like them making poor decisions again. Like I'm seeing, I think it's Looter. No mat. They're all out of mats on a tunnel, right? And you're watching them in an end game, and there's a full trio ahead of them that has their box open, and they're like 3 boxes ahead of them, right? So, and they don't know that they're there, and Looter, with no mats, decides to shoot them. And then they get scuffed and they have to go all low ground and stuff, and then it's just over because they don't have mats and everybody knows where they are and they can't sneak up and they don't have a refresh. It's stuff like that that convinced me that they were not going to be a good team when they came to NA East, and because I watched them when they were playing in OCE. It was decisions like that that made me think that they were going to be not bad, but not great either. And I think that they're still making poor decisions like that. So I don't expect them to live up to the hype. I think my expectation is probably the same as it was before, and I think that's where they're going to meet. I legit think they're on trajectory to maybe make it out of heats, but do very poorly in grands or barely miss out on heats.
I got a DM like 50 ASAP, or get someone's help then.
It's not something you can fix over a weekend.
Yeah. But do you think that they're gonna like? Is the improvement valid enough though from when they got here to stay for another season, or like was this their one miracle shot? Okay, the skill diff's a bit too high. Let's reel it back in.
Well, I would advocate for them staying for another season if they had a reason to, if there was something that they could use to improve here. But like I think the environment in NA is like the worst it's ever been. Like you talked about, no scrims, volatile as hell, everybody's just beefing constantly. It's just like not a good place to improve right now. If there was any reason for them to be somewhere, it'd be like they should be in EU. Because I think you can learn a lot by playing in EU, and that's just like not going to be possible for them. So,
you know, the funniest thing about this situation is like you're saying there's no scrims, it's volatile as hell. What was the last one?
I forgot.
Regardless, it's like kind of sounds like OCE. There's lots of beef too. It kind of sounds like OCE overall.
Yeah,
like how it usually is.
Yeah,
so this is
a good point. OCE equals NA East, like it's the same. Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah. Past that, there's like a new rivalry, I guess, to follow coming into finals. I'm not sure if both teams have made it, but just 15th P God versus the 26th of Illis, Macwood, and Tragics.
How the fuck did they fall so hard?
Dude,
because I swear I was watching it. Maybe it was when I fell asleep last night. Because I was feeding Emery, and then it was like Steph took over finally at like 6 a.m. It was like 4 a.m. I was watching the VODs slowly. Yeah. I was slowly watching because I couldn't watch on 2 times because I was way too dead. And then I'm watching. They won the game. They're like high on points. I'm like, okay, yeah. Like, isn't this weird? Weren't they fighting off spawn? Like, I wasn't watching the early game, so I wasn't really paying attention. And maybe I fell asleep right at the time. Game 4, I'm like, okay, they're looking good. Like, this team looks very good. And then I fall asleep, watch the West in the morning, and then now I see them at 26.
Yeah, they had 2 wins off spawn compared to the 4 from P Gods. They didn't get a win with it, but didn't get anywhere else. Regardless, I don't know what happens. I just wish that off spawn was a bit more elegant in
yes.
I feel like it's so elegant in EU, bro. Like,
dude, facts. Dude, so true. Well, I don't know if it's elegant at EU either. I just think in this game in general, man,
Oh yeah.
it's the same thing. It's the same thing that I was talking about in seasons prior. It's just like you get contested and you lose full, and that's Macwood. Mac was on Twitter every game, fucking trying to get impressions from the Spanish community. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Why? Just play the game. Like, try to do your best.
And I guess things will change. Like, what is there to win for these guys, right? Like, overall, I feel like for some of these like seasoned boys like Macwood, it's better for their brand overall to win that off spawn fight than to like really push forward, buckle down, and try to win the FNCS. Like, in their minds, like, that's what's more appealing for them.
But is that because they just have no chance of winning FNCS?
Might be it. That honestly might be it. But it's also just kind of like what's the most appealing to them right now. I feel like even if they weren't able to win FNCS, like, trying to do that is something that like should be beneficial for your brand regardless, right? Like, showing your journey, like streaming that, like practicing and whatnot. Like, you're a comp player, right? Yeah, some people operate and get numbers off the beef a bit more, but I feel like that's what everyone is just harping on now. Until there's like, you know, something major to actually fight over that's like tangible, that's on site, that's a LAN, honestly. I feel like for a lot of these old heads, it'll be the same way, where they'd rather just win that beef or, you know, get the fast grab, the ad, the deodorant ad, rather than go and chase, like, you know, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't even know. Goddamn. But yeah.
Rest of this is I'm just fell asleep. My bad. You know.
No, all good. What happened to Boyle accepting Snake, bro? I just scrolled down to see that. I always, for some reason,
call out a number.
31.
Holy shit! What the?
Because I remember we watched them in that one like random third-party event.
What?
Game in FNTASIA episode 15 the next day.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody get shit on this hard off spawn in my life. What is this?
I want to see online. If
who are they fighting? Somebody needs to tell me. Okay, here's the plan. We just look at the game and see who died first. This doesn't help me. Could it have been Deroller, Spego, and Charlie?
Who lands at Misty?
I don't know, bro. I told you I didn't watch the early games. Somebody's gonna tell us in the comments. These guys are analysts. Don't they know the fight that was going on there? But he cast at you. I didn't watch anything. So
no, you watched a little. I'm just trying to see, bro. Maybe it's pleasant. I'm looking at Vor's Twitter right now, and it's just like he's fucking picking fights like 5 different trios. Something's going on. The most recent tweet he said is landing Misty Heat C even if they go there. So I'm not trying to do an ominous Riddler.
And then it's gonna say this guy is shitting on you. Some fucking little 12-year-old pleb.
This would be so sick. You click on the person's name, it says their drop or whatever. That'd be so cool.
Oh my god, it's like if there was
this game dropped here
in this game.
There. Like, that'd be so sick.
If there was just like a drop spot map every game.
Oh, that'd be a heats list. Like, dude, this morning I'm just trying to fish for stuff, man. I'm going down like the players' editor's Twitter to try to find where they're dropping or like what like.
It'd be so cool if I could click on the winning team, look at a game, and see how many elims Rocane had out of this trio. Oh wait, I can't.
Do the deep down?
No. And because of this, I am willing to say trios is the worst mode.
Okay, man, let's go back to solos, guys. Duos is my favorite mode, and I really missed when chat played squad. So bring Team Rumble back.
Nice.
Did we get all of them? Nice.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Nice, very good. Past that, let's get into some cool stuff. Unless there's any heats list.
I don't want to look at an NA heats list.
NA heats are happening, and the top 6 will go to grand finals.
Let's go.
I want to talk about NA West a little bit, and bring up a few tweets here and there because, you know, as I do, looking at stuff to talk about on FNTASIA, top of Fortnite comp Reddit, type in Fortnite on Twitter and just scroll down a little bit. I'm seeing a lot of REIT talk. All right, this is where this comes from. I'll be completely honest and transparent with everyone. I'm seeing a lot of REIT hype, and I kind of understand why, but I also don't understand why at the same time. The hype is basically, yo, put REIT all the way on EU. Benji saying it, Tayson saying it as well. A bunch of mans here and there. I have like maybe one tweet here or there too. If the links don't work, that's my apologies.
It's all good. I pulled it up. I'm just checking DMs aren't getting leaked.
Sick. Yeah. So REIT needs to move. Yeah.
REIT played with Chapix and Tayson on NA East, and they did really well.
For what?
In Cash Cup.
Oh, Cash Cup, true. Okay.
Or Cash Cup Extra or something like that. I don't know. That was recently. I think that was maybe even the Cash Cup Extra yesterday. So this is where it's coming from, because they actually experienced REIT for the first time. Other than just watching him stomp on NA West DreamHack Open semis bots, you know?
Okay, true. Yeah. I was about to say, if there is a player of this caliber that needs to move, right? That could be top tier. Why is he struggling so much in NA West? He came 30th in Qual Week 3 with Falconer and Chris.
Falconer and Chris, wow.
Yeah. And I personally am not watching the games myself. Usually I am and have a god take on what's going down. But like, even now, like, you know, I'm looking at the placements 31st, 23rd, 27th, 29th, 28th. If this player is what every, you know, top tier player says he is, and maybe this is, you know, this, I could be getting, you know, that 1 week where we had a whole FNTASIA topic about Chapik splitting with Hen and Janice or whatever. Yeah. And it was all fake. I could be getting duped because apparently there's like a REIT like double or something somewhere. I looked at the top three, I looked at everyone who called, and I don't see REIT, and REIT does play with Falconer, so I'm assuming that this is REIT we're looking at.
You might be onto something.
Right? I know there's like another REIT.
Did you just get baited? Because I remember seeing REIT. I remember seeing this situation because Resub was VOD reviewing him, and he started VOD reviewing, and he was VOD reviewing the wrong person because REIT was in the game. So I think that might be the case. Let's just look REIT Fortnite results, and I got you. Round 4. No, he placed 30th.
He did place 30th? Okay.
Yeah.
So now that
my
ass is covered.
One rant. It's not even gonna be a rant. It's just a little little section on FNTASIA where we do it every week. It's crazy that we had to even do that, man. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy that we even had to do that. It's so hard to just.
We're struggling, bro.
Dude, it should be minimal effort to know something like that. Yet it is so much effort.
The fact that I'm even scared, like, it's fucked. Like, save me, someone in the back end. Anywhere, man. We just need a superhero to just do something. But regardless, how can a man who can't get even like some of this caliber, can't carry a team above 20th place, be in this conversation for like, yo, move to EU, move to NA East? Like, that's just kind of like my first attacking thought. Like that's very harsh to say, because at the same time, you know, weeks are different, teammates are different, but like, it's NA West and it's fucking Reed. Like, okay, I haven't watched the games, but like, what is going down? You know what I mean? Like, you know, 100% the Cash Cup was probably banger, and you're playing with the best teammates, you'll elevate yourself as well. Like, Saf is a perfect example of that over time anyways. Like, you know, on NA East, like that kind of was like the glow up with, I think it was like Zayton Chap is like who he played with in the early days. Just to, every time he's around better people, he gets better. I watched like a podcast earlier this like morning, so I know exactly how that entire relationship worked in the earlier days, and that kind of has been a thing with like players overall, is when you put like someone next to two really, really good players, they end up showing off their full true potential. Like, even with Arkram, Epic Whale, the Cash Cups that these guys are playing in, they end up popping off cross regionally. They end up popping off to But for Falcon and Chris, like, I feel like these guys are also both solid. Yet I don't think should ever be getting a 30th place, right? If he's in this contention or this zone for like move to EU NA East, like that's the only odd thing I see about the entire situation.
Yeah, I think it's relatively correct to say. The thing is he performs really well in solos, like really well. He got second in Invitational way back when. He got third in All Stars, in NA West. And it's not like he has never had good performances either, because he's performed well in FNCS in trios. Just because he didn't do well in 1 week doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, it's the end of the world days for him. But there is significant times where it's just like, well, this just did not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it's very hard for... It feels like a situation where he just doesn't have the right teammates, where he can't shine in a trio situation. Because NA West is so top heavy, and like in terms of top heaviness, it's literally the 3 best players are all on the same team, and everybody else is fighting to make a team just as good as them, but there's just not enough talent to do that, you know?
Yeah.
So you consistently are getting left with these pieces that are all over the place in West, where you have other super teams trying to form, but they're not really, and it's also damaging the rest of the teams throughout the scene, or throughout the community as well. He isn't necessarily a custom grand finals type of player. You'll see him consistently perform in almost every single like cash cup or matchmaking type of format, but when it comes to customs outside of solos, it's not, you don't see him doing the stuff that he's doing in those matchmaking rounds, you know? Sometimes there is flashes of that, especially in solos and especially when he has a coach. But when those two scenarios aren't there, when you're in trios, you don't necessarily have a coach who's guiding your every move. If there is a coach who's guiding your entire trio, and I don't think people are really doing live coaching for trios in general, because it's just way too chaotic in the first place, then you might not have the same results.
Yeah, I feel like also the reason why EU might be more palpable then is because he can be put into trios that can just essentially do that for him, get him to the right places. Like that is very, very abundant on EU, and there still are teams looking to fill that hole and have that as a potential. The other thing too, because that was just a caveat on like the grander question, is like, what would happen if we just took the black hole out of NA West? Like, you take the top NA West team of Arkham Rex, Epic Whale, you take Reed, you know, maybe you take an extra trio at the top, like Kenshi, Snacky, and those guys, and you bring him over to NA East, you bring him over to EU. Like, NA West as a whole, I know we don't talk about it on FNTASIA too much. It just feels like, as you're talking about, you know, with the best players just playing with each other, it just lacks like evolution completely. Like, the way that Brazil evolved is insane. Like, over from when, in the World Cup days when we first saw them overall over in Season X, like, they're only getting better and have more than 2-3 trios that can be watched and that are flipping back and forth and have like a rivalry, you know, all the way until game 12. Whereas I feel like on NA West, if you watch like any of the finals or tune into any of them, it's always like, damn, Arkham Rex, Epic Whale, they're still kind of just like chillaxing. They'll turn it on in like game 9, and then like the competition's over by like game 10 and 11. Like, you can see that vast difference. You can see players like Reed, like Wavy Jacob, just kind of walking around and being like otherworldly beasts on the almost kind of level, or maybe 75-60% of the way to Unknown Army in his prime. Like, there's, you know, all this talent that one entity just keeps sucking up in every aspect. If you take it out of there, does West improve as a whole? Would these guys prosper on a different region?
I think if you took Arkham, Epic Whale, and Rex out of NA West, the region would get worse.
Really?
Yeah, no, because the whole goal right now in NA West is everybody improve as fast as possible to beat them.
Yeah.
That is literally the best goal. That is the best motivation for any region, is to have one villain to try to take down. Like, Is that not the best scenario for improvement? It's like literally we have to improve or we're never going to be able to like break the stigma of NA West. Or
is that the best for them too though?
For who? And Arkham?
Arkham Rex Epic Well? Like their evolution. It just
no,
feels like
it's not. It's not, because if they were playing on NA East or playing in EU and they were doing the same type of stuff, or they were at least challenging, then they'd have notoriety that like people think of them as a good trio, but they just don't know where they are. They just don't know, and it's impossible to know without them doing something like that.
Mm-hmm. True, but it was just like one of the things that was talked about was just Reese performance. I'll bring it up.
Yeah,
not that deep of a dive to go into.
He's hella good, and if you put him in a team with like Reverse 2K and Miro or something like that, he'd fill the role of Day or better.
I think Reverse was still playing.
Yeah, if Reverse doesn't quit next season. Or I'm just basically giving an example of the type of situation that you could put him in where he would all of a sudden thrive. Although now that I think about it, I think NA has been very, very bad at outside of Reverse 2K, Day, and Miro, of implementing the controller gods into their trios.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, like Furious, Illists. They've been tried. People have tried to put them on their teams, but it just doesn't work out. It just never works out. Maybe
I think it's like a lack of individual identity for the controller players compared to like the people on EU. Like the people on EU, you can clearly see that they're of a different breed. You can kind of see the potential and the type of way they could be placed. Like you can kind of form already how the puzzle piece looks around them. But like for NA East, it's like, yeah, he's just good on controller. Like, A, we need that. But B, they never see how that piece is formed and if it even fits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Anyways, that was just a little update. Other than that, last thing to kind of go over is Falcon Esports, man. I'm just mentioning this here, so just in case at some point 5 years down the line when we're drinking Falcon water on our Falcon mics with our Falcon monitors, they're sitting on our Falcon chairs. It's funny to say Falcon over and over again because it sounds like you're swearing. It's actually hilarious. But anyways, these guys signed Vino. They have Tayson. They have what is it to Ref's Guard, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I feel like it's eventually going to be in the Fortnite scene, Falcon versus NRG coming down to it. If we ever have something like internationally, or if we ever have something major in the future. And I feel like these guys also just aren't done picking up players yet. Not that it's relevant, not that it quantifies anything, but cool food for thought until they become our overlords.
Cool. Very cool food for thought. I don't think that they're going to be sure they're going to have good players, but it's not going to be energy. I think that I haven't really seen much outside of Fortnite from them. I haven't really seen much with their Fortnite team or anything like that. I don't know. Just need to see what's going to come. Other than that, they look to be the same as any other EU team that's signing a bunch of players.
Let's go. House orgs.
Outside
orgs.
of become legends and guilds.
Oil orgs.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know what their plan is. They're just signing people, and who knows? Who knows?
All right, cool. Well,
are we not going to talk about Reverse 2K in them? Actually, I don't feel like it.
I didn't feel like. Hey, listen, Reverse 2K has some beef going on. Want to check it out? Check it out, bro. But it's like the 5th week in a row. I was typing out Reverse 2K in our now Discord outline, and I was like, bro, let me go back and check. Oh, Reverse 2K here, Reverse 2K there. The man is struggling. Leave Reverse alone. You know what I mean? Like that whole Leave Britney thing.
Yep.
Just chill. 1 week. 1 week from the calm. No Reverse slander. Even if it is worth the slander. Let's just see if we can restrain.
But it's self-inflicted in some cases. Like it's not the Mars OW. It's not the Mars OW shit where everybody's just beefing on for some reason. He's just like, I'm just playing arena, bro. Like I don't know what you guys are doing.
No, there's some self-infliction with the Mars as well, bro.
Of course you would say that.
I'm slightly biased, but
I love this, dude. It's when Sensitive is beefing with Reverse, I like it. Okay. My only problem with it, and this is the only thing I'll say about it, because other than this, I think it's cool. I think it's fun. I think it's exciting. I think it gets people interested in what's going to happen in grand finals. But it's so damn personal, man. Like, why is it so? Like, why are we going after like mental like illness and like depression and like it's just like I don't know. It just seems so damn personal instead of like actually fun and lighthearted and like rivalry type stuff. The reason I like it though is because it's actually based off something in game and not just completely fried like most of the other drama. It's just like nothing is going on in game outside of off spawn beef and that's it, you know?
Yeah. I don't think that any rivalry anymore, at least from here on out, can ever just be like in game when it comes to like, especially NA East. Like it always just insta gets personal.
Well, I don't want it to be in game. Like I do want it to, I want them to trash talk.
But not like that skin deep, like holy fuck guys, please.
Yeah, let's not go after, you know, people's families or their, I don't know. That's
I mean, when you battle like, you know, the first ever beef we had was like nation versus nation. Like we started pretty goddamn high in terms of like, you know, where beefs go. It was never, oh, you're a slightly bad player, and like it ramped up from there. It's like, yo, the entire region of OCE like sucks ass and you guys don't have hands. And like, you know, like Calc set a pretty high border for what the fuck is up. And then he battled OCE and Brazil at the same time. Macwood comes out of that. Sentin's watching this all go down. So like when the first time they clash, it's like, oh man. So you already have nukes like, you know, ready to go in World War One. Like it's too fast. But,
yeah. It's like accusations fly left and right. Like it's legitimately in some cases slander. Like yeah, but that's the only topic I want to talk about because the TNA stuff I cannot make any sense of anyway, so I just won't because
it's impossible to. Regardless though, semifinals will start by Friday and be popping on Saturday.
Shah, did you WAP yet? Are you trying to get out of this? Huh?
Not yet.
You trying to get out of this? Have you done the
WAP
man,
yet? My close friend had a baby. You know, I've been on like by association paternity leave on TikTok. You know
guys
what I mean?
have. Yeah, you have been on paternity leave. That's for sure. The way that you guys have released FNTASIA episodes.
Listen, man, there's a bunch of shit in the business. You know what I mean? So we'll have to get a sword. We'll have to get a sword. There's definitely worse paternity leave by association happening. It shouldn't be happening. But yeah, we'll figure something out on that end. We'll figure something out. Let me get another haircut and then be presentable for the WAP. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna get out of it. You know me. It's just gonna be done late. That's how it usually works. Regardless, that's episode 27. When you guys are walking in the halls of your classrooms, gotta make sure you got the bottle on strap. Gotta make sure you're hydrated up, because you never know when things can get a little bit rainy. Stay tuned. More to come soon.